Ashley Lockhart is just the latest victim in a growing trend of violence against.
She had 6 little girls, a minivan full of school supplies, and a dream to finally leave the man who had been breaking her behind closed doors. But before the sun could set that day, she was gone, slaughtered, in the same van where she once sang lullabies. And the man who did it? He didn't run. He turned himself in, like it was nothing. This is not just another crime story. This is about a broken system, a silent war against women, and 6 daughters who will grow up remembering the last hug their mother gave them. How does a woman become a victim in the very place she thought she was safest? And how many more Ashleys will the world ignore before we finally start listening? Ashley Lockhart was born and raised in Philadelphia, where every corner was familiar. In a city filled with noise, Ashley carried her own quiet kind of strength. She wasn't loud, she wasn't flashy, she didn't seek attention, but she commanded love from everyone who knew her. To her 6 daughters, her 6 charms, Ashley was the center of gravity. She woke early for them, braided hair before sunrise, packed lunches before work, wrote down grocery lists between feedings. She wasn't just a mother, she was a protector, a provider, a peacemaker, and sometimes a silent sufferer. People close to her said she would give you her last, even when she had nothing. Ashley had dreams too. She wanted to go back to school, open a daycare, move to a safer neighborhood, give her girls the freedom she never had growing up. But those dreams were paused, again and again, by a reality she tried to keep hidden. She was being abused. She didn't tell many. Sometimes she'd show up to family events with excuses. A bruise she blamed on the kids. A missed gathering she called just exhaustion. But those who paid attention knew. She wasn't pulling away because she didn't care. She was protecting others from the chaos she lived in every day. Why do so many women hide their suffering? Because when abuse happens behind closed doors, shame becomes louder than pain. Because asking for help sometimes feels more dangerous than staying quiet. Because when children are involved, a mother calculates every move, and sometimes the only plan is survival. If your friend was Ashley, would you have noticed, or would you have missed the signs too? Ashley met Raymond Thompson like many women meet men who change their lives. At first, he was everything. Charming, supportive, present. He complimented her cooking, helped with the kids, told her she was beautiful, not just pretty but worth something. He called her queen, told her she deserved more, said he'd build her the life she never had. And for a woman like Ashley, a woman who had carried so much alone, that felt like safety. But sometimes, love doesn't come like thunder. It comes like a quiet storm, slowly flooding everything you built. It started with questions. Where are you going dressed like that? Who were you on the phone with? Why didn't you answer the first time I called? Then came the rules. No talking to certain friends. No going out without him. No social media posts unless he approved them. He said it was love. He said it was protection. He said, I just care too much. And Ashley believed him, at first. Because when you've gone without love for so long, even control can feel like attention. Why do women fall deeper after the red flags show? It's called intermittent reinforcement, when love and cruelty come in waves. You never know what version of him you're going to get, the sweet one who kisses your forehead, or the angry one who throws your phone against the wall. That emotional roller coaster rewires the brain, creating addiction to the good moments and denial of the bad. Ashley wasn't naive. She saw the change. But when you're already in too deep, with kids, a shared home and nowhere to run, you convince yourself to hold on just a little longer. Maybe he'll get better. Maybe I'm just stressing him. Maybe it's me. But it wasn't her. It was never her. Have you ever mistaken someone's control hood for care? By now the sweet talk was gone. The man who once opened car doors now slammed them shut in anger. The one who promised to protect her now made her flinch when he walked by. Ashley no longer lived in a relationship. She lived in a prison, and the walls were closing in fast. The arguments got louder. The apologies got shorter. The bruises got harder to hide. Sometimes it was just yelling. Other times things were thrown. Sometimes other kids were in the next room listening in silence. He called her names no one deserves to hear. He punched walls. He broke things that belonged to her, pictures, plates, phones. And then he'd cry. He'd beg. He'd swear he didn't mean it. He'd say, "You know how much I love you." And Ashley would stay, not because she wanted to, because fear had replaced freedom. Domestic violence doesn't start with fists. It starts with control, isolation, intimidation, and manipulation. It creates a loop. 1. Tension builds. 2. Explosion happens. 3. Apologies and affection follow. 4. Honeymoon phase begins, until it starts again. Ashley wasn't weak for staying. She was surviving in a situation where leaving could mean something worse. There's a reason why women are most likely to be killed after they decide to leave. Not before, not during, but right when they try to take their life back. Ashley knew it too. That's why she didn't tell many people. She didn't scream. She didn't run to the police every time. She stayed quiet, because she was planning. Ashley started keeping notes, applying for emergency housing. She had reconnected with family she had been distant from. She was rebuilding herself piece by piece behind the scenes. No shouting, no chaos, just small, quiet steps toward a life without him. But Raymond? He felt it. Abusers know. They always know. That shift in energy, that growing confidence. The way a woman stops fearing and starts detaching. And for some men like Raymond, losing control feels like losing their identity. For abusers, the relationship was never about love. It was about power, control, possession. So when the victim begins pulling away, even without a word, the abuser spirals. They may accelerate manipulation. "I'll change. Let's try again." Or escalate violence, a final attempt to reassert control. In the darkest cases, and they decide, "If I can't have you, no one will." Ashley didn't scream or fight. She simply started moving toward freedom. But to Raymond, that was betrayal. She packed the kids' bags. She went to the store for school supplies. And then she got into the minivan. With him. Why? Because leaving doesn't always look like running away. Sometimes it's one last ride, one last attempt to keep the peace, one final moment before escape. Have you ever smiled through fear, just to protect the people you love? The sun rose like any other day. There was no warning in the sky, no whisper in the wind, no sign that this would be her last morning. Those who saw her that day said she looked at peace, not broken, not afraid, just focused. Focused on the next chapter, focused on her girls, focused on freedom. But sometimes peace isn't a promise. It's a quiet before the crash. She agreed to meet Raymond that day. Some say it was about the kids. Others say he insisted. Maybe she thought keeping things calm, one last time, would buy her time. Maybe she hoped he'd just let go. But some men don't know how to let go. They only know how to destroy what they can't control. In many intimate partner homicide cases, victims are described as happy, lighter, even relieved right before their death. Why? Because they feel they're almost free. The hardest part, making the decision, is done. The plan is in motion. A better life is just a few steps away. They stop looking over their shoulder. But the danger is often looking right back at them. Ashley got in the minivan that afternoon, the same vehicle where she buckled her babies, sang lullabies, held hands through traffic. That van was meant to be a symbol of motherhood, of motion, of survival. But that day, it became something else. Have you ever felt peace right before your world fell apart? She got into the van like she had so many times before. No one knew what was happening inside. No one saw the storm that was about to break. Not the shoppers walking by. Not the clerk at the store window. Not even her daughters nearby. What happened in that van took less than a few minutes. But it would change 6 young lives forever. Inside that closed space, something snapped. Raymond Thompson, the man who once promised to love her, pulled out a knife. He stabbed her, again, and again, and again. The exact number is too painful to repeat here, but the coroner would later confirm over 18 wounds, some to her face, some to her chest, many to her heart. And then, silence. It was daylight, broad daylight. She was yards away from other people, but no one knew, no screams, no shattered glass, just stillness and blood. Ashley Lockhart, the mother, the fighter, the dreamer, was gone. Why didn't he run? Why didn't he hide? Because this wasn't rage, it was power, cold, calculated, final. Men like Raymond don't always yell, they don't always explode. Sometimes they just erase. He walked away from that van, calm, like it was just another argument. Later that day he turned himself in, but 6 little girls. They were still waiting for their mum to come home. What kind of monster takes away a mother from the very children she lived for? And more importantly, how many other women are living like Ashley today, and no one knows it? If Ashley's story moved you, if you believe no woman should ever die trying to leave, hit that subscribe button now. This channel is here to tell the stories others forget, the voices silenced by fear, by control, by violence. Subscribe now, leave a candle emoji in the comments to honor Ashley. Turn on notifications, because these stories matter. The moment the police arrived at the scene, they opened the minivan door and stepped into a silence that screamed louder than any siren ever could. Ashley's body, lifeless. The seat soaked in blood, a phone still in her lap, groceries beside her feet. What started as just another Saturday turned into a crime scene that shattered everyone who loved her. Her family got the call, not the kind you ever forget, not the kind you ever recover from. They ran, not walked, to that van, screaming her name, begging officers to tell them it wasn't true, collapsing on the sidewalk when they saw the truth written across every face around them, neighbors lighting candles. In the middle of the day, her 6 girls, the 6 charms, were nearby. They kept asking, "Where's Mommy? Why is everyone crying? When are we going home?" But there was no home to go back to. Not the same way, not ever again. The brain of a child exposed to sudden, violent loss doesn't just grieve, it fractures. They may blame themselves, stop speaking, replay the last memory over and over, searching for a sign, carry silent guilt into adulthood, unable to form healthy attachments. These girls lost their mother, but they also lost their safety, their innocence, their sense of the world as something good. A GoFundMe was started, people donated, local leaders spoke, they made promises, but none of it could bring back what was taken. And still, Ashley's name wasn't forgotten. Posters, T-shirts, a memorial mural, and voices rising. No more silence, no more Ashleys. Protect black women. Can you imagine what it feels like to grow up knowing your mother died trying to protect you? Would you recognize the signs if it was your friend, your sister, your neighbor? To many who saw him from a distance, Raymond Thompson looked like just another man trying to get by. He had a decent smile. He was present at school pickups. Sometimes he even played the role of the involved dad. But behind closed doors, that smile was a mask, and what lay underneath was dangerous. After Ashley's murder, the truth began to surface. Raymond wasn't a first-time abuser. He had a history of domestic violence, records going back years. Ex-girlfriends came forward, former neighbors, even a co-worker. They all told stories, eerily similar. Verbal outbursts over small things, threats masked as jokes, obsession with control, rage when he felt powerless. Ashley wasn't his first victim. She was just the last. Raymond didn't hit first. He isolated first. He made Ashley feel like he was all she had. He slowly chipped away at her relationships, her confidence, her peace. They don't care about you like I do. You're not going to find better. You're lucky I'm still here. That's how men like Raymond work. They don't want partners, they want possession. What drives a man to destroy the very person he says he loves? Most abusers aren't out of control. They're calculating. They know when to behave and who to hide the abuse from. Raymond knew how to present himself in public, but in private, he needed dominance, obedience, silence. And when Ashley began to change, when she stopped apologizing, when she made moves without telling him, when she grew quiet but not afraid, he felt it slipping. And men like Raymond don't just let go. They erase what reminds them they lost control. After the blood, after the silence, after the van became a tomb, Raymond Thompson turned himself in. He didn't run. He didn't hide. He walked into a police station like a man returning something he broke. Authorities immediately arrested him. The charge was clear and devastating: murder in the first degree. The district attorney confirmed this was premeditated, deliberate, not a crime of passion, but a planned execution of the mother of his children. He was denied bail. Raymond was placed in custody, held at a Philadelphia correctional facility. His first court hearing came just days later, emotionless, unmoved. There were no tears, no apology, no visible regret. He simply stood there, the man who stole 6 girls' mother, while the courtroom filled with tears that weren't his. Some wondered if he turned himself in out of guilt. But experts say that's unlikely. More often, men like Raymond don't feel sorrow. They feel defeated, not remorseful. Turning himself in may have been his final act of control, choosing when and how it would end on his terms. As of the last official update, Raymond Thompson was awaiting trial. He faces the possibility of life in prison without parole, but no sentence, no matter how long, can undo the trauma, can restore what was taken, can tuck 6 girls into bed at night and whisper, "Mommy's okay." Justice may come on paper, but real justice, that lives in prevention, in awareness, in every life we fight to protect before it's too late. Do you think the system delivers real justice for victims like Ashley? Or is it too often too late? Ashley didn't stay because she didn't want help. She asked for help. She did what the system tells survivors to do. She filed for a protection from abuse order, a PFA, against Raymond Thompson. She reached out. She took legal steps. She did everything a woman is supposed to do when she feels unsafe. But the system didn't protect her. At the time of her murder, that order was still active. But Raymond was still around, still in her life, still near the children, still manipulating her every move. He didn't follow the order, and no one enforced it. Because in the eyes of the law, it was just paper. No officer was stationed. No check-ins were done. No safe house was provided. Ashley was expected to survive on her own. Neighbors had reported loud fights. Her family had seen bruises. She had stopped attending events. Her demeanor changed. But as with so many women, her silence was mistaken for peace. And when she did speak, in court, in petitions, in private, no one moved fast enough. Domestic violence is one of the most reported and least enforced crimes. Why? Victims are often expected to leave quickly, without support. Abusers manipulate the system, painting themselves as calm or cooperative. And the most chilling part, the moment a woman leaves is the moment she becomes a target. But the system treats that moment as the end of danger, when it's actually just the beginning. When the news broke, the city didn't just hear about a tragic death. It felt a collective heartbreak. Ashley Lockhart was gone. But what echoed the loudest was the fate of her 6 daughters, her 6 charms. 6 little girls, now suddenly orphaned by violence, left to navigate a world without their mother's embrace. Friends and family rallied. Shelters offered help. Strangers donated clothes, toys, and school supplies. But no amount of kindness could replace her presence. Each girl carried pieces of Ashley with them, her laugh, her courage, her love, but also the trauma of that terrible day. The sudden, violent loss of a parent is a wound that runs deep. Children like Ashley's daughters often experience intense grief mixed with confusion, feelings of abandonment and guilt, struggles with trust and attachment, difficulty focusing in school, anxiety and nightmares. Yet, within this pain, there is often a powerful drive to survive and heal, a testament to the human spirit. In Philadelphia and beyond, activists used Ashley's story as a call to action. We can't let this happen again. Black women deserve to be safe. No more silence, no more Ashleys. Memorials were held, murals painted, stories shared, to remind us that behind every statistic is a family shattered, a city changed, and 6 little girls growing up without their mum. What do you think the community can do to protect mothers and daughters like Ashley's? How can we break the cycle of violence that destroys so many families? Ashley Lockhart was more than a headline, more than a victim, more than a statistic. She was a mother of 6 girls who adored her. She was a daughter, a sister, a friend, someone who showed up with love even when she was hurting. She tried to leave. She tried to survive. She did everything she could, and yet she still lost her life. Not because she was weak, but because the world didn't listen loud enough. When we say her name, we're making a promise to protect the ones still here, to speak up when others go silent, to change a system that keeps failing women like her. Her daughters carry her face. Her spirit lives in their hearts, and her story, painful as it is not in vain. Ashley is no longer here to tell it, but we are. Remembering Ashley isn't just about grief. It's about transformation, because when we remember with action, we stop more tragedies before they begin. When we say her name, we're saying, we will not forget you. We will protect those like you. We will fight until this ends. To the mothers hiding bruises behind makeup, to the friends lying about why they missed another call, to the daughters wondering why love feels so scary, you are not alone. There is help, there is hope, there is healing. Ashley's story doesn't end with her death. It lives on, in awareness, in action, and in us. If this story touched your heart, if Ashley's life meant something to you, then don't let this be the last time you think about her. Subscribe. For more stories that deserve to be heard, drop a candle emoji in the comments to honor her memory. Tell us where you're watching from, your city. Share your thoughts. Your voice might give someone courage. Turn on notifications so you never miss a story that matters. Together we can build a world where stories like Ashley's are never repeated. See you in the next one.